Hey, what's up, mortgage community? Dave Savage, and today I am interviewing Shane Kidwell. What's up, Shane?
What's up, Dave? How are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. Well, I think this is our third interview, and we've done this three times before, right?
It feels like it's been a lifetime, but yeah, it's been three.
Well, I love your story. I remember the first one when you had just come out. I think you were about 3 or 4 years from being a full-time fireman to being a full-time mortgage professional. If anybody missed that one, I'm going to put a link down below. Awesome story, how Shane went from full-time fireman to full-time mortgage professional. And what were you doing that first or second year, like 40, 50 million?
Yeah, so we started, I was part-time for 4 years. And so I worked full-time as a fireman, part-time as a lender at 16 million, 20 million, 24 million. My last year part-time was 33 million. And so I've only been full-time for 2 years. And so in my last year I did 39 million, but more than that, I started growing a team. So now we have a team of 21 individuals. We're in 3 states, and we're at 85 million for the year, and we'll hit about 120 for the year, which is exciting. We did just a little under 100 million last year. And so our goal is to kind of grow, 15 to 25% every year. And we're on pace to do that. So it's been awesome.
Congratulations. And that's incredible success, especially with only 2 years being full-time in the space. So one of the things I am super clear about is if you are a local referral-based mortgage professional, your advice needs to be your competitive advantage. And it can't just be this, like, my advice matters. You have to deliver tangible advice that's valuable. So one of the things I'm looking for right now is to help loan officers have that advice-based conversation where they ask questions, what are your hopes and dreams and your goals? And then they're able to teach the client something that they didn't think about and deliver a mortgage strategy, that is unique and valuable. So can you think of any recent stories, any families that you've helped that you think is on point and might be a teachable mortgage strategy for the community?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I tell everybody on my team and in our coaching platform, listen, that we call it a power conversation. That power conversation, that initial interaction with your potential client, for me at that point, they're not a client. They become my client through that conversation. We do that, and that's non-negotiable. Every person we ever meet with, every referral partner we talk to, the first thing we tell them is we're going to have a powerful conversation with every lead to find out if they're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them. So we do that. That's non-negotiable on our team. Myself, I do it. My loan partners do it. All of our team does it. But lately, I mean, obviously, as everybody knows, it's becoming more and more rate sensitive. And I hate even saying margin compression because we've talked that to death. But that's the reality of where we are. It's more competitive. And so, it's so funny. It's like we have a story in our mind of what the consumer expects from us. I have a story of what you expect from me. And what we can do is we can live through that story, or we can ask for clarity from the consumer. We can ask clarity from the people we're interacting with. And so our conversation is a lot about gaining clarity. What are you looking for in a lender? Hey, I noticed you mentioned, and the biggest thing is people need to slow down and listen. Don't race to the finish line. Like, let this conversation happen. Like, if you were on a date with a woman who you wanted to become your wife, you're not going to try to speed to the end of that conversation. You're going to take your time in that conversation. We do that in every one of our lead conversations with people. And so as we're listening to them, we're stopping, we're asking questions. Hey, you mentioned you'd already been pre-approved with another lender. Can I ask you why you're not completing the process with them? Tell me more about why that wasn't a good fit. And if by doing that, we're starting to find that we're having, and it's not necessarily a better conversion rate, we're finding that we're not converting the people that we don't want to convert because they aren't a good fit sooner. And I think that's important because as our business is changing and the way we make our compensation or how much compensation we make is changing, it's about that dollar per hour, not dollar per loan. And so if you can be more efficient with your time, your team can be more efficient with your time, you can do more deals. So we had one this last week, and we've shifted that conversation. So the expectation that a consumer has now is they're okay looking at options with 2 points, 1 point, 1.5 points. Whereas before, what we found in our market was, man, anything over a point, people didn't want to have that conversation. Now they're comfortable having that conversation, but that's where you've got to really put that out there to the consumer. So do you mind if I've got one I'll share here?
Yeah, so let's do this. So first of all, feel free to bring it up and share it because I want to talk about that. Also, I want to make sure anybody that's watching this, that if you haven't already, check out our lead conversion playbook. I'm going to put a link down below. It's an article on LinkedIn where we identified the 4 principles, the 13 strategies. And one of those strategies, which I think we're going to really nail right now with Shane, is the strategy of having a hopes and dreams conversation versus a rate and fee conversation. And then one of the other strategies, make sure that every family gets the total cost analysis. So they're getting that playbook, that I asked you questions, I listened to what you wanted, and now I've delivered something valuable to help you build wealth with real estate and to help you pick the mortgage strategy that's right based off of your goals. So yeah, walk us through this however you want, and I'll ask questions along the way.
Yeah, so Elliot, it's funny. 2 things. One, for people newer in the business, I think that one of the things that is easy to forget is your past clients or your database. Elliot is a friend of a friend from 8 years ago. He runs a nonprofit in Tanzania and moved off to Tanzania. We kept marketing to him over the years. When he came back, he remembered us and wanted to get a mortgage with us. So I think first and foremost, be in front of your people. Like, you never know when that lead is going to convert into a purchase. Elliot came to me and he's moved back to the States. He's an engineer. He's got a great job here locally. He's buying a home with his brother on the loan. And so as we're talking through that, I'm saying, what's the most important thing for you? When you're talking about down payment versus rate, these different things, like, what's the factor that's going to help move the needle for you the most? And as we're going through that, he had the money to pay the points. He goes, listen, like, for me, it's the monthly payment. If I can invest, I have a gift come in from family. If I can invest that money up front, I really need to keep my payment under a certain amount because of my new job and my situation at home. And so again, like, it instantly took it away from, hey, by the way, I'm an 8th higher than, A and B mortgage. And now it's okay. It's about what can we do as a team to strategize to get your monthly payment in line with where it needs to be. And that goes back to the point about not making an assumption about what consumers expect from us. Like I mentioned, they used to only want us to show a point. You get higher than that and they start to freak out. I mean, in this presentation here today, we showed 2 points. That's what a lot of the large online lenders are doing. We started at 2 points, 1 point, 1 point. We call them options. We'll do different variations of how we're going to present it to them based on if it's a specific home, if it's multiple homes or different price points they're looking at. But in this one, as we're having this conversation with Elliot, he never once said, hey man, you're an 8th more than everybody else. The conversation meandered over 30 minutes about the dreams of home ownership for him, moving back to the United States with his family, and finding that payment, that ideal payment. He needed to be at a payment under $3,200. Well, that's option 1. So as we're going through that and we're highlighting it, I'm using the presenter view to highlight things real time. Like, that's the power of this strategy for me.
Love that. I want to call out a few things. Notice that instead of, where it says option 1, instead of saying it's a 30-year fixed rate at 2 points and it's a product, you're saying option. I recently interviewed some of America's best loan officers, and Jay Kroll is using strategies. So he would go strategy 1, strategy 2, strategy 3. And I talk a lot about, if you're local, your advice needs to make a difference. So you got to quit selling products, quit selling rates and programs, talk about options, talk about strategies that align with the family's goals, hopes, and their dreams. So I just want to make sure we called that out. So yeah, keep walking us through it, because I know, right now we're looking at transactional details. And as you scroll through the total cost analysis, this is another thing. And I think it was this Friday, I interviewed Tim Sanders and Jeremy Forcier. Well, anyways, I'm going to tell that story. Why don't you walk us through how you'd walk it through to your client? And then I have another strategic point I want to make.
Yeah, so what we always do is when we send this presentation, we'll also send an FAQ sheet. Things that because my goal is I want to answer their questions before they ask the question. Hey, and so one of those things is, how do I find my fees? Say, hey, you might be asking how to find your fees. Let's go ahead and click on the more information tab. This will take you to a section with closing costs. Go ahead and click on fee details. So we're walking them through kind of the pain points or the questions they might have. So before we even get into the presentation, we're always doing that. I really like using, and the great thing about the update that you guys did on this was being able to switch your views. There's times where I like using the more spread out horizontal view, but for me, especially with my iPad, I really like the vertical view better. So we'll use that vertical view. And then we do actually up in Washington State have quite a few Spanish buyers. So we'll walk them through the translation button. And as we're working with agents,
By the way, love that. I want to just call that out. Very cool.
Yeah, killer. It's a killer, and it's real time. I mean, it's cool how quick it works. So as we're walking them through the presentation,
Shane, real quick, one more time, if you could translate that to Spanish real quick. Also, it's just a massive opportunity with, realtors that specialize in the Latino market. When you could show up and say that, look, not only am I going to show your families the value of homeownership, going from renting to owning, I'm giving them the power to translate that in the language they speak. So I just wanted to make sure that feature was called out.
Super slick feature, and I love how it's real time. And so we have actually a couple Spanish speaking people on our team. And so that's an area that we're going to start focusing on Q4 and into next year, is going after different business instead of just sitting back and saying, oh, the market's down, the margins are compressed. It's like, let's go find different business and creative markets. And that's a great way to use that tool. So as we're going through the presentation and we're breaking down, again, for us, we typically are going to be focusing on monthly payment if that's their need. And typically what we're finding now, it's more payment sensitivity than it is fee sensitivity. So we're talking about their total payment. And that might mean that we're showing them, and I love Jay's idea of calling it a strategy. Your strategy might be a 30-year fixed. It might be a 7-1 ARM. If the focus is monthly payment and you can pay a home off in 6 years, why would we not show them a 7-1 ARM? Why would we not show them a 5-1 ARM? Maybe for them, that is the best strategy. And so again, it's not like, I think what's great about this is you can make it very vanilla and cookie cutter, but you can also custom tailor it to the individual and really what their goals are. And so we do that every time. And then for us, of course, we'll always try to put the address in there. We try to make sure that we're doing every little thing we can to make it about the consumer. But, we give it to them in two forms too. So we'll give it to them in the link in the email so they can go to the mobile app or on their computer, view it in this format. We also do the PDF view. And I think it's important. Some people love the PDF. Some people like to print that PDF and have that and highlight it and go through it. Other people like me, I like to be online. We don't want to assume one way or another. Now, again, if we have a specific type of clientele and they've voiced that they have challenges with technology, let's not force this online version down their throat. Let's have the PDF version for them as well. And so again, it's finding the path of least resistance, using technology. So we're high touch, high tech, using technology to make the process better, not more frustrating.
Love it. So something I wanted to call out, I wanted to wait till you got to it, but Tim Sanders made a great point in my interview with him and Jeremy Forcier a couple of days, that to earn someone's trust and respect, you need to, if you could keep it where you could see the 30-year at the bottom, he said, show them something immediate. So that's transactional details, monthly payment. Show them something over a shorter period of time, called a midterm, and then show them something long-term. And by the way, in today's market, that's why we put it in the lead conversion playbook, this shows an uncommon level of transparency. And by the way, that's what creates trust. So like, this is just how you show up for this family. So the chances that they're even going to rate shop you is a whole lot less. And by the way, let's face it, in today's market, everybody rate shops, everybody's checking out rates online. The real question is, are they going to call you up and challenge you and say, you know what, I saw a lower rate, I need you to match it or you're going to lose my business. So by providing, this service that you do, they're a whole lot less likely to call you up and challenge you on this because they trust you and they appreciate the value that you brought. Anything else you want to point out on this particular mortgage strategy?
I just would reemphasize the fact that if the consumer has to pause because there's a lack of clarity, transparency, professionalism, like any of those items, that's when they're going to shop you more or start to shift their gaze to the competition. If you're on point with what you do, if you communicate like a 10, if you have a systematic approach to how you quote your rates, your fees, your products, your strategies, and you do that like clockwork every time, like people respect professionalism. Like if you ever needed an attorney, you don't want the guy that has the huge binder, like with paper everywhere, and he like dumps it on his desk. Like you want the guy in a 3-piece suit, wingtips are shined, he's dialed, he's organized, and that's what doing this correctly, along with your communication strategy, how you do your power conversations, makes it such a key way in shifting that needle to where these people, they're going to look. I mean, we're in the age of Amazon. Like we all shop there. I mean, we're all coached to look and compare. But what happens is if we're open to it, we say we're totally open to that. We're transparent. We understand the market. We know our competition, but we're on point with how we present it. I think that's where you'll see people start to shift back your direction.
No doubt. Hey, is there anything else you want to show on this total cost analysis?
You're good.
Okay, so we took that down. So let's do some closing thoughts. So one, I love that term, power conversations. I mean, I might adopt that myself. I think I always call them quality conversations in my company, but I love that power. I'm going to have some powerful conversations. I also noticed at the beginning that you're setting that expectation with agents. So part of your value prop is I'm going to have these powerful conversations that are going to give your clients clarity. And by the way, what is the realtor hear when they hear that? They're hearing conversion. They're hearing sense of urgency. Oh, Shane is going to help my renters get into escrow faster. Oh, Shane is going to help my move-up buyers move up faster. Oh, Shane, if I give him a lead, he's not just going to close the loan on time. I'm going to get a better conversion rate. I'm going to get more buyers. And I, by the way, I also know that they know about you is that, oh, Shane has systems and processes in place so that even if we don't close it in the next 3 months, he's going to close it in 2 years. It's like every lead I give Shane is more valuable because the way you show up, the way you deliver advice. And anybody watching this, that's exactly what you need to do if you want to Amazon-proof your business. And I'm gonna do a debrief sometime this next week because I was at the digital mortgage event and it's unanimous. Everybody's like, Amazon mortgage is coming. The question is when and how. So if you're a referral-based lender, this is how you need to show up. So Shane, any last thoughts as we wrap up this mortgage strategy conversation?
I think that we've shifted from, last year to this year, it's a different market. I think what's really important for people like us, professionals working on your craft daily, is having that systematic approach to what you do. Like the age of being able to react to things and wing it and get the business in the door, I feel like that's gone past us. I think it's extremely important to have a blueprint for everything that you do, especially if you have a team. If you have people that work with you and for you, you're doing them a disservice if you don't have this approach. We use Mortgage Coach with our team. It's been equally as powerful having our loan partners be able to prepare these strategies and presentations for the consumer. And I think that's huge. And then the big thing is like, people need to be doing more of this. Be in the YouTube group, be on the Facebook group, be in coaching, be in groups with people that are thinking at a level that's in front of the market, not staring back at where we've come and complaining and being those typical Debbie Downers. And so just being a part of this group is powerful. And I think I just would encourage people. When I started, I've been a mortgage coach since 2010. A lot's changed in our business since 2010. But being in community with people like this is super powerful.
So, and by the way, folks, if you listen to that and you heard about the community, he's talking about the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. If you're not part of that Facebook group, check it out. We also do a call every Friday at 9 o'clock Pacific. And by the way, Shane, I love your group. The way you are building community, and I know you guys are coaching. If anybody wants to connect with your group or reach out to you and find out more about your tribe and what you're doing, how would they do that?
Yeah, so I'm a coach for a group called Next Level Loan Officers. Big thing for us is that we're all loan officers in the trenches working daily. And I think there's something unique and special and powerful about that. We have private coaching, we have group coaching, and we utilize a ton of technology in our platform. We have trainings on how to use Mortgage Coach. So it's just been a really cool group. We've been in existence for about 12 months. We've got a pretty exclusive group of about 50 in our tribe that's just like we meet every quarter, going to Vegas in a month. It's just be a really fun group. So if anybody has any questions, Next Level Loan Officers, you can always reach me on Facebook. I just look up Shane Kidwell.
Cool. Well, love having you in our group. I love the leadership you bring. And I love the fact that everybody that touches you and is part of that tribe uses Mortgage Coach more effectively. So I really appreciate it. Keep in touch, man. And next time you have a strategy like this that you want to bring to the community, forward me the TCA, and let's do another one of these within a couple months.
Let's do it, man. Thanks, Dave.
All right, take care, buddy.
All right, take care.
Oh, wait, one last thought. By the way, guys, if you got value from this, give us a like. Give us a like on Facebook and share it with your mortgage friends. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys.